Promotional and other consideration provided by Nvidia. Thanks Nvidia. Cloud gaming, aka running your game in a server somewhere and streaming the video footage back to your computer, a topic of fascination for this channel for a bit now. The conclusion from those videos was simple. Cloud gaming is not going to kill local gaming, nor do I think it intends to. There's always going to be a market for people who care too much for latency or complete game customization. But for some people, cloud gaming is going to represent the new option to easily get into gaming or to complement their existing gaming experience. Around a year ago, this conversation was put into overdrive thanks to Google joining the fight with their own cloud service, which you all had a lot of opinions about. But at the end of that video, I expressed my worry that Google was going to do their monopoly thing and bankroll a service that takes over the entire industry, eliminates competition, and everyone ends up worse because of it. What actually seems to be happening is that Google kicked everyone into fighting mode, and now several companies with cloud gaming services have introduced improvements that make them on paper way more effective for certain audiences. Think about it this way. For me, Google Stadia is a service for future console users. You either get a free or rented console, where all you have to do is buy the game, which I'm very sure is primed to compete with the next generation of consoles where so many people will be forced to upgrade. But there is one service that I mentioned before which squarely seems to be aiming at PC gamers, which makes it immediately interesting to me, and that a fair number of you seem to be fond of: Nvidia's Geforce Now. I have been meaning to re-examine Geforce Now for a while after they introduced changes that answer my biggest two questions. Who is this for, and what value does it provide over other cloud gaming services? One of the many observations that many of you had regarding Stadia was the issue of game ownership, and how you had to buy games all over again for an ecosystem with little guarantee that the service will stick around. So what Nvidia is doing to compete is introducing the crazy idea of letting you play a lot of the games you already own. So what Nvidia seems to be doing is targeting existing PC gamers by doing this backwards. There's a comprehensive list of existing games that are compatible with Geforce Now, and if you own that game on PC on a platform like Steam, Epic, Uplay, etc., then you can play it on one of their cloud machines. Since you need to own the game on an existing PC game distributor to run it on the cloud, you can also play it locally. Therefore, Geforce Now seems positioned as a hybrid system where people with existing PCs and libraries can use the cloud to play games when they are on a secondary device. So it seems to be a complement to a variety of existing PC gamers. The start of the show here are the instant access games, a rather large list of games that are pre-downloaded on Nvidia servers and ready to play. All it takes is searching for them in the program, and once you're in a cloud machine, you log into your Steam or other compatible game vendor, and when you install the game, it will find all the needed files already there. Given the inevitable kinks of trying to reconcile some of the small issues of PC gaming with the convenience of cloud gaming, I was surprised of how well this worked. And apart from the instant access games, I am told there are literally thousands of games available to download for single game sessions, so they are definitely going for maximum game library compatibility here. And since all the client has to do is decompress the video, it can essentially work very well on a variety of low power Windows and Android devices as long as the internet connection holds itself together. Late last year, as I was thinking about this topic, there were strong rumors of Geforce Now making a public launch in 2020, so I jotted it down as a tentative video idea for this year. So imagine my surprise when I get an email from Nvidia revealing that the final non-beta release of Geforce Now is literally happening now, and they wanted to sponsor a video about it. From the low spec gamer. Huh. Okay, that's a first one for me. Never expected that just trying to force what I could with limited PCs will take me this far. But hey, any excuse to make a deeper dive into this is good enough for me. Before firing up any game, the obvious question is, what's on these servers? Nvidia seems to be leaning heavily on their hardware expertise and are outfitting their servers with a mysterious RTX T10-8, a GPU that, when leaked, caused droves of speculations, with people assuming it was going to be a new tier of RTX-enabled consumer GPUs. Instead, it seems to exist mainly as a way of powering servers for Geforce Now. While during the beta some servers and games were still running on the Nvidia Tesla P40, a powerful and very expensive server GPU meant for designers, engineers, scientists and graphic artists, Nvidia is now also using the T10-8 to enable ray tracing support, which makes this by far the cheapest way to play ray tracing enabled games with an RTX GPU, at least initially. What fascinates me about this GPU is how it tells me that Nvidia is relying heavily on their hardware expertise to differentiate and make their own take at this whole cloud gaming thing. They are not strangers to more industrial cloud computing, as they have been offering it for a while as a variety of services and programs to use their server resources for GPU-heavy tasks in science and research. And interestingly enough, they do have the technology required to share a grid of GPUs within a server between multiple users. And I'm willing to bet the RTX T10-8 is the secret sauce of this whole thing, a ray tracing enabled GPU optimized for multiple user sharing on the server side. But hey, you know me, I can geek out all day regarding interesting new technologies, but you're probably asking your screen just one question. How does it run games? Now, it is difficult to accurately assess how much power is available on the server since the GPU is designed for multiple users and likely allocates different resources for different games, but I can definitely say that for every game I tested, it definitely outperformed the GTX 1060 on my office PC by a significant margin. Given how common the GPU is according to Steam, that definitely means that it should be over the average of what most people have. And that's even before you consider ray tracing, which was already enabled for games like Wolfenstein Youngblood and the average PC is going to have trouble doing. Let's test some more games, starting from ideal conditions and making our way down. On Nvidia's page, they recommend a 15 megabit per second as a minimum for 720p 60 fps, and the connection in my office here is definitely way more than that. Currently, Nvidia manages servers in Europe and North America, so I should be close enough to a server for ideal latency conditions. Nvidia offers several streaming presets and even custom options for resolution, frame rate and bit rates, but I will start by using the balance preset and a wired connection. I selected Dark Souls 3 and Dark Souls Remastered to test, partially because I could play them all day and partially to put latency to the test. While some level of latency is always going to be inherent in any cloud gaming service, I wanted to verify that within a certain level of tolerance, an average player could, with a bit of practice, get used to the extra input lag on a difficult single-player game and continue playing effectively. Sure enough, this was the case, and shortly after starting the game I had forgotten anything about latency and I was playing as naturally as I usually do. Similar case for a shooter. Here, since you're fighting other players, I could notice the input latency a bit more. But the connection quality is so high and the latency to the server is so low that on my very inexpensive monitor it was very easy for me to forget that I was gaming on a cloud, unless I was really looking for compression artifacts. But Ethernet is easy as long as you have enough bandwidth. Wi-Fi is where it gets interesting and where I expect a lot of people to try this on. Wireless internet connections, where things are unstable and temporary packet loss is a thing. I switched to my laptop and relaunched the game over a 5 GHz Wi-Fi connection. Interestingly enough, when using the balance preset, there was a higher probability of a bit more feed instability at the start of a session, probably as it figures out how far it can push your connection, but afterwards it tends to be pretty smooth sailing, and whatever the impact was for latency, I could not notice. But I still got plenty of bandwidth, hardly a challenge. Let's do something about that. It is relatively easy to limit and monitor a program's available bandwidth using a program like NetLimiter, and I ran a test limiting it to around 10 megabits per second, significantly lower than the minimum suggested by Nvidia. And this ended up being a pretty interesting experiment for several reasons. In order to operate on limited bandwidth, I switched to the Data Saver preset. This limits resolution, frame rate and bit rate and actually makes it work rather well on a limited connection. While moments of more dramatic camera movement evidently end up using more bandwidth than static images due to the way compression works, at its worst moments the feed was pushing the upper boundaries of the bandwidth limiter I had set, But even within this limit, the feed managed to stay pretty usable, and never did it become quite unstable. Given the results, it is natural to wonder how well this preset will do as a tool for gaming while traveling, which is why you might be interested in a more realistic field test that I ran. If you click on the corner or search in the description, you will find a companion video I did to this one, where I tested Geforce Now on a variety of unideal connections over 4 different cities in 3 different countries. I even tried it over 4G, but you will have to check out that video for that. For now, and this video, given the positive results I have seen over Wi-Fi, a certain curiosity started brewing in my mind. You see, it seems to me Nvidia is positioning Geforce Now as an alternative. The second best thing to having a strong enough local gaming PC, a companion to your existing gaming library. So in that sense, it makes more logic when I try while traveling, which I did in the footnote video, or while I am using it on this thing. Oh yes. Remember this guy, the GPT-Win 2? This Windows 10 handheld is one of the many low-end power computers from Chinese company GPT that I have reviewed on this channel. All of these are powered by Intel HD GPUs, which make them good for some low-spec AAA gaming or indie gaming. If I am currently going through a lightweight game on PC, chances are I'm playing on this guy. So, how does it do as a streaming handheld? The answer is much better than I expected. On the smaller screen of the GPT Pocket, lower resolutions and compression is barely unnoticeable. And since Geforce Now works on any GPU capable of decoding the video feed, no matter if Intel, Nvidia or AMD, the IntelliJ in this handheld now gets access to a number of games that are very difficult for it to run convincingly. Case in point, Witcher 3 at reasonable settings running over a stream. Here's where the value proposition starts clicking with me. I must confess, over the past few weeks that I have been working on this video, I have been leaving the GPT Pocket 2 on my night table, and many mornings when I wake up, I have been avoiding getting out of bed by playing games like Dark Souls. And I think a lot of the hours of productivity that I have lost are a testament to what cloud gaming can be if done well. If you have a secondary device you spend a long time on, such as laptops or in my case a Windows or Android handheld, you can use the service as a tremendously convenient way of accessing a variety of games. Or if for any circumstance you do not have a way of going for a full desktop, either out of space or mobility issues, and God knows, gaming laptops always seem to be on a premium, then you start seeing the logic for this more and more. If anything, I see my expectations now reflected back at me. I still believe that cloud gaming, rather than a substitute, is going to coexist as an alternative to local gaming for those with a connection that allows it. And now I find myself doing exactly that. And something that I'm sure is helping is that Nvidia included some of their recording tools along Geforce Now, which I have been using to capture video or audio from a lot of the clips you have been looking at, as it records and saves the resulting video in the local machine. This is a minor thing in the grand scheme of things, but given how much trouble I usually have to go through in order to record game footage on a low-end PC, this made working on this video much easier. Now, as I have previously mentioned, keeping cloud gaming servers online is costly, and one of the things I worry about for any cloud gaming service is that it's going to be too costly to justify it instead of saving for a budget PC, or even too expensive to justify a secondary companion service, which is the way I have been using it. And so it's worth mentioning. So this is the territory where Nvidia truly shattered my expectations by making it free to try. There's a rather robust free tier, and it is also pretty inexpensive, let me explain. Nvidia's current plan is 2-tiered. The first cool bit is that there's a free plan based on availability. You get on a queue for an available gaming instance, and once you're there, you get about 1 hour of gaming before you need to get back into the queue, as to guarantee that no one hogs the servers. The second tier is a premium one. It gives you priority on the servers, so you can skip the queue unless you have gaming sessions that are up to 6 hours long, with no limit of number of sessions per day. This premium tier, $4.99 a month for now, with a 90-day free trial. I'm not going to lie, this is much cheaper than I expected when the service was on beta. Ain't competition grand. This presents an interesting business plan. Since the whole idea is using games you already own, the free tier makes sense as a tool for short gaming sessions, demoing the servers, or making best use of the servers in moments of low traffic, since there is no limit to the number of daily sessions for free accounts. Premium accounts are currently going to be in a price that is like the price of a game yearly? It is much cheaper than I expected and definitely justifiable as a companion tool, which is what I think they're pitching it as. Maybe this is a result of making use of the hardware that Nvidia already has for cloud computing, but I must say the situation with cloud gaming continues to evolve in interesting ways ever since I started tackling the topic, and a solid step for cloud gaming to get into the position I expected to occupy in the gaming landscape, at least for those with the internet connection to use it. So to close, I turn to you. I've already asked some of you over the Discord server, and I've received some very interesting opinions. Are you still in the camp that will never try cloud gaming, or does Nvidia offerings get closer to what you wanted in the first place? Let me know in comments, and thank you to Nvidia for sponsoring this video. Now that is a sentence I never expected to say. We're Whirl, huh? This is the part where I have to do the sponsor thing. Let's see. Click on the link for more information and to create an account. Remember that there's a 90-day free trial on the Founders tiers for Geforce Now, and after that is $4.99 a month with the price locked for 12 months, which seems like a great offer based on what I have tried. Give it a go and let me know what you think.